We are so glad you are here today. My name is Misty Mitchell, and I am the Director of Conservation Programs at Wonders of Wildlife in Springfield, Missouri. And we have an amazing mission conservation program for the next 30 minutes. We're talking all about bats. Bats are really, really cool. And here at Wonders of Wildlife in Springfield, Missouri, I am actually in one of our dioramas. We have a cave, and Missouri is the cave state. We have lots and lots of caves, and bats love caves. And here in our diorama, we have some fabricated bats, real similar to bats that you would find here in the state of Missouri. Bats are some really cool animals. We have more than 1,400 species of bats across 6 continents. And we're going to learn about some bats that are found in our northern part of the United States up in Montana. And then we're headed way down south, all the way into Mexico to learn more about bats. Well, bats, why do we want to learn about bats? Well, bats are some really cool animals. They're very vital to our ecosystem for pest consumption, plant pollination, and seed dispersal. So they're so important to us. Here at Wonders of Wildlife and Mission Conservation, we have an amazing program where kids can take an AR game and play and learn about bats and many other conservation efforts throughout every single month. So Mission Conservation, bat awareness. So you can go into our website at wondersofwildlife.org/missions-conservation. You can go in there, get your cell phone. First thing you'll want to do is you want to download the app. And so you're going to go to a Google Play or the App Store, download that app. It's called Agents of Discovery. And then once you have that app, you can play all of the missions. You can play all of these games. And if your kids love to play games, this is a great way to take gaming to that next level where they're also learning. And so with this week's mission, you print the images. Really cool to be able to print these images, hide them around your house, or take them outdoors. The fall weather is cool. You can get outdoors and you can print those and have a great time creating a digital scavenger hunt. Who doesn't like digital scavenger hunts? From this bat mission, you're going to learn all about bats, the awareness of bats, different species of bats that are found. Some of our bats, a few of them, are endangered species, and we need to learn how to protect them and how we can do that. From there, you can unlock the activity guide. And with that activity guide, we give you lots of ideas of games you can play, crafts you can do, and maybe even learn how to build a bat house. And every single month, we have new missions available to you to be able to play on your own, continue to have fun, continue to get involved, and really engage your kids into lifelong learning. And that's the whole idea of mission conservation, because we understand here at Wonders of Wildlife, not everybody is able to get out and do a lot of things right now. We're very limited with everything going on. So we want to give you the opportunity to learn at home, and that's what we're doing today. So guess what? I said we were headed north. We're excited to be headed to Montana, the wonderful state of Montana. We're going to meet Marisa Morison. She is with Travelers Rest State Park in Lola, Montana. Welcome, Marisa.
Hi, Misty. All right, everyone. So hi, as Misty mentioned, my name is Ranger Marisa. I'm from Travelers Rest State Park in Lola, Montana. I'm here to talk about some cool bats, their record-breaking abilities and traits, as well as some of the other things that make these animals special. All right. A lot of these records exist because bats are just so unique, and some of them are just plain cool to learn about. A main takeaway though, bats are adaptable. This means that different species of bats have different unique abilities or characteristics, kind of like superpowers. These superpowers can help them survive in all sorts of places. The first bat we're going to talk about is also the biggest one. And how big do you think that that could be? Would it be as small as a hamster? Could it be as big as an eagle? There are a couple of different options there. So if anyone has any guesses, we'd love to hear them.
I'm thinking maybe big as an eagle.
Big as an eagle. All right, that's a really good guess. And it is actually as big as some eagles. So if we want to go ahead over to the next slide there, the biggest species of bat is called the giant golden-crowned flying fox. and their wingspan can be 5 feet 6 inches, which is pretty large. So 5 feet 6 inches, that is roughly as long as a lioness, as tall as a rhino, and it's actually taller than the ranger given this program right now. So do you have a measuring tape at home? If you do, you should see how tall you would be compared to a golden crowned flying fox. And maybe see if any of your family members are the same height as the wingspan of a golden crowned flying fox. All right. I think we might be a little frozen. That's okay. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Sorry. While their size is impressive, it isn't quite their superpower. Compared to most other bat species, the members of the flying fox family have very pronounced eyes and nostrils. They do not echolocate for their food like most other bat species do, because their food source doesn't really move. Instead, they use their keen eyesight and their heightened sense of smell to find their meals. These meals consist mostly of fruit, nectar, seeds, flowers, leaves, and a variety of insects, or very rarely insects, sorry. And when these bats eat fruit like mango, cacao, and figs, they deposit the seeds through either their feces or sometimes spit, dropping them into places where they can grow new fruiting trees. In fact, the work they do in seed dispersal helps produce a lot of fresh fruit that we enjoy today. Additionally, when they feed on nectar from flowering plants, the pollen sticks to their fur and gets distributed to the next ones that they feed on. This results in pollination, which helps more flowers grow. So they're actually doing a similar job to bees. These bats play a really important roles in their ecosystem, thanks in part to their keen senses, helping them find their food sources. All right. So next is the bat with the largest ears. And what bat do we think would have the largest ears? The Townsends Bigeared Bat has the largest ears in the bat kingdom. And it uses its really large ears to locate some very sneaky bugs that may be hard for other animals to detect. Moths, flies, lacewings, sawflies, and other small insects are the main staples of this creature's diet. However, it is considered a moth specialist. This species is a whisper bat, which means it echolocates at much lower intensities than other bats do, and some moths have the ability to hear bats and may produce their own noises to jam a bat's echolocation so that that bat can't find them and eat them. However, that technique stands no match to the Townsend's adaptations. Look how long those ears are on that little bat, especially compared to the size of his body. All right. Now, a little earlier, we learned about the largest bat. What about the largest bat colony? How many bats do you think could live in one cave together at one time? Do we have any guesses?
I'm going to say thousands.
Thousands is a good guess, but it's actually a lot more than that. Bracken Cave is home to an estimated 20 million female bats and their offspring. This protected area of bats, excuse me, this protected area that the bats call home sits on roughly 1,500 acres of land. Could you imagine sharing a home with double the population of New York City? That would be a very crowded place. For these Mexican free-tailed bats, though, it is a place to raise their young and stay safe from weather, predation, and human disturbance. It is estimated that baby Mexican free-tailed bats roost in densities of up to 500 babies per square foot. Female bats only give birth to one pup per year usually. Amazingly enough, the mother bats never lose track of their young among the millions in the cave. This is because they have grown to be able to identify their child's or their pup's individual scent and call. So 20 million bats How do we even picture such a large number? So think of it this way. If you were to sit down and try to count every grain of sugar in 2 teaspoons, you would be right around 20 million. And that would sure take a long time. In fact, at 1 number per second with no breaks at all for any reason, it would take 11 days, 13 hours, 46 minutes, and 40 seconds to count from just 1 to 1 million. And that's only a fraction of the amount of bats in Bracken Cave. All right, so aside from having the most roommates, the Mexican free-tailed bat actually holds another world record. These tiny animals are pretty talented in a lot of ways. Does anybody have any ideas what that record might be? It helps them catch a lot of bugs. So the other record that they hold is for being the world's fastest mammal. Now, a lot of people think of a cheetah as being the world's fastest mammal, and they are running on the ground. However, when the Mexican free-tailed bat is flying, it can reach speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. Now, peregrine falcons can reach speeds of up to 200 miles per hour, but that's because they're using gravity to help them. And besides the fact that they are not technically mammals. So they qualify as the fastest animal in the world, while the Mexican free-tailed bat is actually using its wings to propel itself forward without the help of gravity, making it the world's fastest mammal. The Mexican free-tailed bat's superpower is its speed. They want to use that speedy flight to span as much air each night to look for as much food as possible. The Mexican free-tailed bats have very big appetite for being so small. Their diet consists of insects, especially moths that can damage agricultural farmland. And they can eat up to 2/3 of their body weight in insects per night, especially the mothers while they're lactating and trying to feed their young. Their search for food motivates them to fly up to 100 miles. Oops, let me see here. I think I just got myself a little lost. Okay. Their search for food motivates them to fly up to 100 miles round trip in an evening to fill their bellies. Their fast flight allows for, oops. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. Their fast flight allows them to continue flying through all of, I'm so sorry, give me 1 second, you guys, my computer froze here. There we go. Their fast flight allows them to travel those distances with greater speed, giving them the ability to find more food quicker. With the large numbers of agricultural pests they eat, research shows that these bats can save farmers up to 2 applications of pesticides per year. For the state of Texas, that results in millions of dollars in saved agriculture. As mentioned before, bats are incredibly adaptable. Typically, they are specialized to the food that they eat in the place where they live. From fish to fruit to bugs and even blood, each species is equipped with superpowers, allowing them to survive in every climate on the planet, besides the hottest deserts, the coldest polar regions. And so what that kind of makes you stop and think, what is bringing bats to the places that you live? What do the bats that live near you eat? And what does that say about the climate that you live in? Learning more about the animals and plants near you, along with the things that they need to survive, we can become better stewards of our lands and help protect them for generations to come. And I hope that you learned a little bit more about these amazing animals. And thank you so much for tuning in. Back to you, Misty.
That was great, Marissa. Thank you very much. Wow. 20 million bats in one cave. That's pretty amazing to think that there are that many bats in that cave. So there in Montana, my understanding is you've got about 15 species of bats in Montana. What are the most common bats that you find in your area?
For us here, I would say that we most commonly see the little brown myotis, also known as the little brown bat. However, a lot of the species of bats that we have here do look really similar. So if you aren't using echolocation equipment or mist netting, it's really hard to tell them apart if you're not a bat specialist.
Understand completely. Well, we actually have little brown bats here in Missouri too. So we have some bats that probably come between the two areas, and that's awesome. It's great to hear. I also understand, and this is off the topic of bats, but your park was actually a stopping point for Lewis and Clark expedition. Is that correct?
It is correct. So we are at the only archaeologically verified campsite of Lewis and Clark. They were really good at not leaving any trash behind on their expedition, so it was hard to find any of the actual places that they camped. Here we are lucky enough to have a little bit of lead that they spilled while trying to cast new bullets. And we've actually done different ground penetrating radar to find their fire hearths as well as their latrines from when they camped.
That's amazing. To think that Lewis and Clark that many years ago were already practicing leave no trace, which we need today to really practice that also. So if you're ever in Montana, make sure you head over to Travelers Rest State Park. Sounds like an amazing location. Hopefully someday I'll be able to visit you there in Montana. So guess what? I said we went north to Montana. Now we are headed south. I'm excited to introduce Andrea Valdés. She is with the Mexican Bat Conservation Program all the way from Mexico. Andrea.
Hi, Misty. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here with you and talk to you about a little bit of Mexican bat species and some of their incredible superpowers too. Next, please. Well, Mexico, first of all, is one of the most diverse countries of the world. And talking about bats, it's not the exception. In Mexico, there are a lot of species of bats. There are 140. And well, let me tell you, that's a lot. That will be like 10% of all bat species in the world. Of course, next, please. Yeah. Of course, these 140 bat species in Mexico have a great variety of sizes, colors, and many different faces, as you can see here. Usually, when people think about bats, they think they are all like bad, like black, like brown or boring. But let me tell you, that's not really true at all. Bats are just pure fun with an enormous variety of characteristics that, for me, are like incredible superpowers. Here, I brought you like some examples of species that live in Mexico. This will be the largest one, the largest in the whole American continent. It's not as large as the one Marisa told us about, but this is like 90 centimeters long with the wings open. In Mexico, we can find this bat in the southwestern, living in tropical forests. But let me tell you, that was a really large bat. The most of bats living here in Mexico and most of the world are like this, these little bats. This is an insectivorous bat that also lives here in Mexico. As you can see, we have a great variety of species in the world. Little ears, like little claws. Here I have some other examples. As you can see, this bat has a very large snout. This is because it feeds off pollen, as Marisa told us about too. And as you can see, we have small ears, large ear, really big ears, and a great variety of colors. And of these 140 bat species that exist in Mexico, there are 14 that are endemic. This is the next slide. Yeah. But what is endemic? Well, endemic is that the species is only found in a certain place. In this case, talking about Mexico, we are talking about bats that are only within Mexican boundaries. So now I will show you some of these 14 bat species that can only be found in Mexico, and I will show you some of their incredible superpowers. The first superhero here is Musonipteris harrisoni, known as the banana bat. As you can see, it has this enormous snout and a very large tongue. Their tongue is almost the size of their body. This is a nectarivorous bat, which means it feeds on nectar and pollen from flowers. And with this superpower, this bat helps us to pollinate flowers of plants that we normally use. The next, please. Another bat species only found in Mexico is, I think, the previous one. The previous slide, I don't know. Yeah, that's right. This is Majoris planiceps, is the flat-headed bat. This beautiful and smiling bat weighs only 4 grams, just like a coin or less, and it's 5 centimeters long, a little bit more than our thumb, just like this. This small bat eats insects, and it's really, really rare to see. There are only few lucky people who have seen this bat. It looks really furry, as you can see. It's something really common in bats. And their superpower is to have this flat skull, which allows them to get inside really, really small roosts to protect themselves from harsh desert conditions, just like these plants where they hide between leaves, as you can see here in this slide. These plants are called yuccas. Normally, these bats live there. And these flat skulls allows them to live in just like these flat and small spaces. The next, please. Another Mexican species I like very much is this Corynorhinus mexicanus. I think it's one of the I think this superpower is like really obvious. There are these enormous ears. This bat eats insects too, and their superpower is like to orientate itself in the darkness and see its prey in a really, really precise way, making sounds and hearing them with this other superpower that it's called echolocation. So these big ears really help this bat to improve echolocation and see their prey and orientate itself in the space, in the darkness. And well, the last species I'm going to talk about, the next slide, please. I would like to talk about my favorite one. All bats are really amazing, but this one is like the most incredible species for me. It's called Majoris vivesi, the Mexican fish-eating bat. This is the largest Majoris species in the entire American continent. If you remember Majoris planiceps, that was this big, this little bat, well, the size of a thumb. Well, the Mexican fish-eating bat is a lot larger. It's like more or less something like this with wings open. And well, its color is really great. It has a golden brown color in the back and a white tummy. Only, well, I think the most incredible superpower of this bat is these large claws that you can see here. These large claws allows them to fish really, really well. And please, the next. Yeah, and as its name indicates, this bat feeds on fish and small crustaceans. It obtains like fishing at the sea. There are other 3 fishing bat species in the world, but the Mexican fish-eating bat is the only known bat to fish in the open sea. To do this, it drags its long feet and claws through the water like this. And the skin membrane between its legs, it uses to bring the fish into its mouth while it is flying. They normally catch, please the next slide. This is normally not how they eat, but here I brought you a small video so you can see them in action. They eat a lot and really fast. I think that's another superpower too. They are like chewing all these fish. We gave them like 9 fish each night when we work with them. The next slide, please. They are really, really super cute. And they live in really extreme desert conditions where there is no fresh water. It's like they live in an island and the coast of California. These extreme conditions, maybe other bats couldn't bear them, but the Mexican fish-eating bat lives on the rocks in slides and crevices. And another superpower this bat has is a thing called torpor. When the ambient conditions are not great, they have the ability to shut themselves like, I don't know, like turning their own power off. They use only few energy to breathe and other basic things. Their heartbeat slows down, their breathing slows down, and this allows them to survive perfectly in these really harsh desert conditions. And the next one, please. This is a video. I'm putting back a juvenile bat in their refugee. As you can see, they get in immediately. They live under the rocks, unlike other bats that live in caves, for example. The next slide, please. They only have one baby each year. We can see here in the presentation, it can be seen so well, but there's a mother and a baby under the rocks. And in the right photo, there's a small baby. When they go out for food, moms leave their babies to other female bats that look for them. That's a really, really great superpower, I think, too. Other bats care for other babies. So, and here is just like the example, no? I already told you they live in these under the rocks and small crevices. And another thing that is really amazing, it's like great superpower, is that these bats, when they go fishing, they can fly more than 60 kilometers in just one night. It's a really, really very long trip for a small amount of time, like 4 hours to 6 hours. And another characteristic that I like of these bats is that they are like really social, like we could say like friendly, as they fish together. When they fish together, they go normally in groups, and normally they can like tell each other that they found something. You know? Maybe, hey, here's one fish, here's food. So they are really social, they are really friendly, and that's a really cool superpower too of these bats. I would like to tell you of some more bats and their superpowers, but by now it's all done. And thank you so much. See you next time.
Thank you very much, Andrea. What great information. I learned so much about the Mexican bats and all the different species that you have, and they're very unique. I had actually never heard of the banana bat and the fact that they have that long snout. And then also the fact that you've got this Mexican fish-eating bat that is actually fishing in the ocean. I just never researched them. So that's pretty amazing that we have these cool adaptations in all these bat species.
Yeah, that's great. It's one of my favorite species.
Yeah, so today we have learned all about bats from Montana all the way down to Mexico. We've learned about so many superpowers that each one of these bat species have. They all have these unique adaptations that help them survive in the habitat they live in. So when she talked about the Mexican fish-eating bat and the fact they live in the desert area. And instead of living in a cave like a lot of bats do, they live in these rock crevices, and then they're fishing in the ocean. And then you've got the bats like the banana bat that has the long snout and the adaptation to be able to get the pollen. So Those are so cool to learn about adaptations. There's adaptations of all animals based on their ecosystems that they live in. It's really cool to learn about those. So thank you very much to both of you for joining us today. It's been great to learn the knowledge that you have in your areas. I hope to talk with you more. So let's talk a little bit about next week. Next week is going to be Bat Week. So this month through Mission Conservation, we have been celebrating bat awareness all month long. But next week is the official Bat Week, October 24th through the 31st, working with Bat Conservation International. This is an international program, and we're celebrating bats all over the world. And from there, you can actually get lots of information about how to take action. How can you protect bats in your own area? How can you look at games and activities? They're actually even going to have a live concert on Friday night, and then also a kids concert on Saturday on Halloween. We will be doing Facebook Lives on Tuesday at 1:30 Central next week, and also a special Halloween edition of our Bat Mission Conservation on Friday at 12:30 Central. Before we go to that, what we want you to do is we'll hope that you are going to be a bat hero. We would love for you to get involved with Bat Conservation and Bat Week and becoming a bat hero. This is a challenge for every one of you out there watching. We want you to learn about bats, and then we want you to take action with others in your community. And taking action is to learn about the knowledge of the bats in your area and show drawings or posters of what you've learned. Make a recipe of celebrating bats in the coloring book, and then also get crafty. You can build a bat house, just all kinds of really cool things where you become more knowledgeable about the bats in your area. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends about why we should protect these bats. The number one thing is to have fun and enjoy. We're so glad you joined us. Marisa, Andrea, thank you very much for being with us, and we'll see you next time at Mission Conservation. Thanks.